Joanna Mason, and I'm with my father, Lark Mason, and he is going to share with us some information on Chinese ceramics.
Many of the ceramic objects that we use today, many of the dishes that we eat off of, the colors we have, originated in China, from discoveries in China hundreds and thousands of years ago. So we're going to look at a few examples. The first major category of ceramic wares in China, or in any culture, is what is called earthenware. And there are different colors of earthenware. This happens to be a gray, but it can be red. It can be other colors as well. This particular vessel is called a cocoon jar.
Because it's in the shape of a cocoon.
Exactly. And it's painted decoration on the outside. It's fired to a high enough temperature that it holds together, but not enough that it will hold water.
What would this object have been used for?
This would have been put into a tomb to accompany somebody into the next world. So that's the earliest type. That's about from the 2nd century. Now this object is a little bit different in that it dates from about the 7th, 8th century, from the Tang Dynasty. It was also made of earthenware, but the shiny surface here on the exterior is called a glaze. And the glazes can be both protective, so that you're protecting the surface, or it can be decorative. And this is a little bit of both. Now the colors that you see in the glaze come from different minerals that were mixed into a mixture with silica, which is sand, and in this instance it included lead, which produced the different kind of colors that you see here.
Are copies that are made today still made with lead?
A lot of them are, but you have to remember, lead is a dangerous substance to handle on a regular basis. When it becomes part of a glaze, it's not going to be nearly as dangerous. You wouldn't want to eat off of it.
And what is this figure?
This is actually a groom. So it's someone who would have been put in a tomb of a wealthy person. His job is to handle the horses, and his hand is upraised to hold the reins of the bridle. The other major category is what is called stoneware. And stoneware is non-porous, which means it will hold water, and it can be glazed or unglazed. This happens to be glazed. And stoneware vessels were often made to be used. And this is a little rice bowl. You have any questions about it?
Yeah, well, it looks like it's been painted on.
It does look like it's been painted, but that is where the mastery of the kiln, of the person operating the kiln, really came into play. What actually happened with this is after this was potted and formed on a wheel, which is how objects are made, a glaze mixture would have been applied here on the interior, right around the rim, and on the exterior. And as it was placed into the kiln, that glaze of silica and various other minerals to produce these colors, iron principally, would have melted and dripped down the sides. And on the interior, it covered the entire interior, leaving this streaky kind of color. And on the exterior, it ended in this uneven line, and you can even see this big drip. And that was all purposeful. And it completely depended upon his experience in knowing how much oxygen, how much heat, and how long the item would need to be in the kiln to achieve this perfect kind of glaze.
And what is this design called?
This is actually called hare's fur. Hare's fur because it looks like the fur of a rabbit. And then the last major category is porcelain.
And that's probably the most well-known, right?
Yeah, well, we associate China with porcelain, don't we? Because the Chinese discovered porcelain. And in fact, in the West, we did not discover how to use porcelain until, you know when?
No.
Till about 1720. What porcelain is a very refined white clay mixed with some other materials, including kaolin, which is then shaped on a wheel. The blue color comes from a mineral called cobalt that was imported into China, painted onto the surface, and when it was painted on, it's almost black. And then over that is a clear glaze, which is like glass. In this case, it would have just been basically sand. And they would have dipped this vessel into a vat that was covered, so it was covered, the glaze covered everything, put it in the kiln, and the bright blue colors you see here would not have been achieved until the right temperature, the right amount of oxygen
Right.
interacted in that kiln for days of firing.
Wow.
And the kiln master pulled it out. Now, if he had been off a slight amount, just in the amount of time, or the amount of heat, instead of blue, you would have had a very unattractive, dark, muddy, gray color. The thing that excites me the most about looking at porcelain is that I and you, we are experiencing this, the same bright colors, the same intensity as someone who would have been picking this out of the kiln in 1680.
Wow.
It is exactly the same today as it was in 1680. There's no difference.
Very
So
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
tied to that same person that made it. I'm enjoying this the same way
Yeah.
as he or she enjoyed it.